Good morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are so happy to have you here on a Tuesday. It's going to be a beautiful day. Keep it right here all day, honestly, because we are just going to show you what is going around in Charlotte and around the world. So keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Just keep us on all day. Why not? You know? Okay, let's look at some of our top stories today. We're going to talk about the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. It is in the 10th day now of this search. And last night, Savannah Guthrie, she did post a video thanking the public for their ongoing thoughts and prayers through all of this. And she says, we are in an hour of desperation and we need your help. Still no sign of Nancy Guthrie. Very, very sad story as it is coming out of Arizona. So we continue to pray for her. And she does ask if you have any information to call the FBI or police in Arizona. All right, taking a look at the next top story is if you were at that game, that Hornets game last night, wow, very big brawl. 4 players tossed after the Piston Hornets game. That included Miles Bridges. You can see it right here. This is actually from our Nick Carboni, who was at the game, but lots of chaos ensuing. So Miles Bridges and Melissa David, I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Okay. And Detroit's Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart were all tossed. The Pistons actually won 110 to 104. That ended the Hornets' winning streak. And the Hornets coach, was actually also ejected from the game in the at the very end because of argument with one of the referees. So very, very intense game over there. Hornets, like I said, ending their 10 streak winning game. So, I mean,
tough break.
Heated. But you know what? It's really exciting to watch the Hornets this year.
Yeah.
I do have to say, very, very exciting. So those are some of our top stories, but one that's going to be absolutely gorgeous today. Gorgeous story with a gorgeous girl, Majestic Storm.
What an introduction.
Right? Look at you in your pink. 70 degrees today, Majestic.
Love it.
Can you believe it?
No, and I'm so excited.
I'll say when I was waking up this morning, of course I was tired because it was so early, but I'm like, it's going to be a beautiful day.
Yes.
Wear a bright color, make
Yeah.
some outdoor plans. I already
That's
have plans with my girlfriend to take the dogs walking.
Oh,
so
amazing.
Cute.
doing something that's just nice to get
Yeah.
outside.
Yes.
Be outside.
That's the
Yes.
big story, for sure. Let's get into it because not only is it warm, but it is beautiful, clear, sunny skies. Now this morning, still a little bit chilly for some of us. One of those days where you grab a jacket, you grab a sweatshirt in the morning, and then you're tossing that thing aside as those temperatures continue to warm up. I mean, we're talking about 70-degree temperatures in February. This is well above our average. We really should be right around those mid-50s. But hey, I don't think many people are complaining. What are you doing today? Are you having lunch outside? Maybe going for a lunch break walk? Maybe just heading out to the golf course? I don't know. Hopefully it's something outside. Another live camera. This one's coming in from Hendersonville. Also beautiful there. Hardly any clouds whatsoever. And then, of course, beautiful Lake Norman. I know those of you who have boats will probably be out on the lake today, whether it's just fishing or just cruising, enjoying the beauty. I don't think you'll be swimming in it, but I mean, it's still so nice to be out on water, be out in nature when we are getting spoiled by nice conditions. So overall today, we are feeling a whole lot like spring. You can see the Queen City right there. Clear sunny skies for our Tuesday forecast with high temperatures exceeding 70 degrees. We have a high of 72 degrees. By tomorrow, mild conditions, little spotty rain showers will be possible though, but overall, the next 2 days, our temperatures remain really quite nice. Today's going to be just the pick of the week because it's so beautiful and it's warm. And then this weekend, don't forget, it is our Valentine's weekend and we do have some rain on the way. Current temperatures right now, we're at 42 in Charlotte. To the south of us, Lancaster, 41 for you. Even up in the mountains, look at you go there in Jefferson. Almost 50 degrees and it's only 9:05 this morning. Setting the tone for is what to come. Yesterday we topped off at 52 degrees. That was just a little bit below our average. Today we are cranking up that warmth. 72, and a big reason why it's so warm is because we do have this southwesterly flow. So when we have that, it means it will be a little bit breezy at times, but we want the winds to be moving from the southwest. That's ushering in warmer temperatures for us. And as you can see, those temperatures are responding to that. Up in the mountains today, 61 degrees in Boone and Blowing Rock, Banner Elk, 57 degrees. It'd be a great day if you want to head out to go to the ski slopes. You want to go enjoy some of that sunshine high up on the mountain, enjoy that sunshine, or if you just want to go bop around Blowing Rock, it's a good, beautiful day there in the mountains. As we're looking towards the foothills, much of the same. Upper 60s there in Taylorsville with clear sunny conditions. 72 for our good friends out in Morganton. Once we're heading across the Charlotte metro area, 72 for us, 72 for Albemarle. Concord checking in at 72 this afternoon too. And then upper 60s from Statesville to areas like Salisbury. Even if maybe you work from home, maybe you can take your laptop outside for a little bit and soak up this sunshine, or at least open up your curtains and let in that nice sunlight, maybe open up your windows and freshen up your house. We're seeing temperatures that'll be settled into those low 70s across the Piedmont from Chester to Lancaster. So widespread 70s, that is a big deal. The situation situation, though, as we're heading into the later half of the day, is that we will start to see a little bit more cloud coverage. So we have perfectly clear conditions right now. Notice maybe the time you're picking up the kids after school or you're driving home after work today. I mean, it's still going to feel nice. I bet you may even roll down the windows in your car today, but you will notice more cloud coverage. With the warmer temperatures, I know there'll be lots of kiddos out there playing after school today, playing basketball, riding their bikes. Make sure you're being mindful of them, of course, but also I think a lot of people who have motorcycles, they love to go cruising with weather like this. I mean, I would if I had a motorcycle. Overnight lows tonight are only going to drop down into the 50s. I mean, upper 50-degree temperatures for our lows. So heading out the door Wednesday, this is more so where we should be when we're talking about our daytime highs for this time of the year. So there's not going to be a lot of overnight cooling. Tomorrow morning as you're sending those kids off to the school bus stop, I mean, I wouldn't send them off with huge layers. I don't think that will be necessary because we're starting out the day at nearly 60 degrees. Tomorrow's temperatures won't be quite as warm as today, but still upper 60s for our highs tomorrow. And generally, we'll see a good mix of sun and clouds. However, we do have some rain chances. So here's the next 10 days when we're talking about the rain. Small rain chances tomorrow. It's not going to be a washout. I think we could get some rain showers, though, popping up here and there. Thursday and Friday, we seem like we're going to be good to go. Small chances for rain on Saturday, but really our washout day will be on Sunday. So let's time this out for you. Here's my futurecast. Let's take us into this afternoon, about 1 o'clock. Again, temperatures are warming up. We have those southwesterly winds, a little breezy, sure, but hey, if you're heading out to the golf course, which I know many of you will, it is going to feel fantastic. You can see the clouds rolling through right around dinner time or so. And honestly, those clouds, remember, they act like a blanket in those early morning hours. So that's why tomorrow morning it's going to be so warm without the clear conditions. Those temperatures aren't dropping as much. And then 7 o'clock, I kind of think this model's overdoing it a little bit, but I do think we could have some rain that'll be picked up by radar, but I don't think we'll have quite this much. So sending the kids off to school tomorrow wouldn't be a bad idea to have an umbrella if they hate getting wet by any amounts of rain. But notice this would mainly be a little morning rain, and then by tomorrow afternoon, it all starts to taper off. So we're back to sunny skies. The rain and the clouds will then drift off to the east of us. This is about 7 o'clock on Thursday morning, starting out the day right around freezing, clear, and a little chilly. That'll be a bit of a shock to the system after having today's beautiful day with low 70s. Again, here's our 3-day forecast. So upper 60s tomorrow, although it won't be quite as beautiful, especially for the first part of the day. Temperatures still are going to be nice. 68 degrees tomorrow, cloudy conditions, some scattered showers in the morning, clearing out by the afternoon. And then that's when things start to change from Wednesday and into Thursday. 36 degrees heading out the door on Thursday, so that'll be a little cold. And then you can see kind of how the trend goes, starting to get cooler as we're heading towards the weekend. Remember, it is Valentine's weekend. I know many of you probably have something planned. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to take your dog for a walk or do something special for yourself. Here's our long-range futurecast because we do have rain moving in this weekend. I think Friday we're going to be fine. Saturday we're going to be fine. We'll have a little more cloud coverage, but then watch this. This is going to be Sunday early in the morning at 7 o'clock. So maybe you're heading off to church on Sunday. You want to go grab some brunch with some girlfriends. This is when the rain starts to trickle in, and by Sunday afternoon, it is going to be a cozy afternoon. Widespread rain at this point. If you want to make a crock pot soup, Sunday's your day to do it. It'll be nice and cozy to kind of start preparing for the next week ahead. By Monday, early in the morning, I think most of the rain will be gone. So again, Sunday is going to be our rain day. Here's our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast, a high of 72 degrees today. Again, we should be at 56 degrees. That's our seasonal high temperature. Overnight lows tonight, 59 degrees, and that is going to be warm heading out the door tomorrow. Really, the rest of our work week doesn't look bad whatsoever. A little sunshine each and every day. Sure, a little rain tomorrow, but truthfully, this upcoming weekend, when we're talking about impactful rain, which we actually really do need the rain, it'll arrive on Sunday. Sunday, we'll get through the rain, and then Megan, next week, come Monday, we're already starting to see a nice little increase in temperatures again. So it seems like next week is going to be actually pretty nice with upper 50s and 60s returning.
I love that. And you know what? I actually, while you were giving that forecast, I turned off my heat because I'm like, I'm not going to need that.
No, absolutely not. Save on that. I think I'm going to open up my windows, like let in some air. I love doing that when it's so nice outside.
Oh, yeah, when it's
let a little
so
breeze
nice.
in.
Yes, and definitely taking the dogs for a walk today.
Yeah,
for sure.
My
long,
dog
long
always,
walk.
she loves like laying in the sun when it's when it's sunny and nice. Like, where is she? Oh, she found the sun
She's
spot.
in the sun.
She has the right idea.
All right. Majestic, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Thank you so much for joining us right in the morning. Listen, if you've been keeping up with the story like I have, just really enthralled with it, honestly. It's Nancy Guthrie has been missing now for 10 days. If you can remember, police say that she was taken from her home, and just a lot of information has been coming out. We have a ransom note, police are saying. Savannah Guthrie has gone on Instagram multiple times asking for the public's help. And, last night she also posted a video on Instagram asking for help. She said this is in the dire hour, and she really is appreciating everybody's prayers. But as that search continues, we're learning more from NBC's Liz Kurtz. So let's take a listen to what they have to say.
The Guthrie family making a direct appeal. In that new video, Savannah thanking people across the country for their prayers and asking for help finding her 84-year-old mom, even those far from the crime scene here in Tucson. The FBI also putting up these digital missing persons billboards donated by advertising giant Clear Channel in dozens of cities in the region. Meanwhile, we're learning more about how the Guthries first discovered Nancy was missing. A source close to the family telling NBC News that Nancy and her friends regularly gathered to watch church services together online. When Nancy didn't arrive at a friend's house Sunday morning, the friend called her daughter Annie. And now, as the search enters its 10th day, the deadline given in an alleged ransom demand has passed. The FBI says it's not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers. Law enforcement has not verified the authenticity of the ransom note sent to 3 news outlets last week, demanding $6 million worth of Bitcoin. As the FBI works to determine who may be behind the demand, former hostage negotiator Jim Kavanaugh says certain aspects of the note, which he reviewed, made him question its legitimacy.
Regardless of proof of life, they don't even prove they're the actual abductors. So they could come from anywhere in the world.
On Saturday, Savannah posted another heart-wrenching video saying she and her siblings, Annie and Cameron, were willing to pay for the safe return of their mother.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace.
But now, with no developments from any possible kidnappers, authorities continuing the search and asking the public for help.
Don't give up the ship. There's no proof of life, but there's no proof of death either.
And we here as well continue to pray for our NBC colleague. Very, very sad story. And obviously, we will continue to update you guys right here on Live Impact News. We are on all day. And, you know, this is why you should keep us on, because we have that breaking news. Anytime you need it, you just keep us on all day, really. And we'll have that for you. Sticking with national news here. Ghislaine Maxwell, the conspirator to the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, she says she'll answer questions to lawmakers if, now this is a big if, she gets clemency from President Trump. So Maxwell pleaded the Fifth for every question asked by the House Oversight Committee on Monday. And the same day, lawmakers had the chance to review unredacted Epstein files released by the Justice Department, which is super, super interesting. Let's go to NBC's Alex Barr from the Washington, if I could talk, for the latest. Let's take a listen in.
Lawmakers given their first chance to view unredacted versions of the Jeffrey Epstein files that the Justice Department made public with large chunks blacked out, walking out with more questions.
What I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files.
Republican Thomas Massie then posting questions about 4 redacted names in one document. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche directly responding that the Justice Department had just unredacted all non-victim names in the file Massie referenced, and that the DOJ is committed to transparency. But lawmakers say there are still portions blacked out in what's supposed to be the unredacted files.
And that's because the documents produced to justice from the FBI, from the grand jury, was redacted when they got it.
As they push for full transparency, members of the House Oversight Committee voicing frustration after Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell refused to answer any questions in their deposition.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Repeatedly pleading the Fifth in a virtual appearance from the Texas prison camp where she's serving her 20-year sex trafficking sentence. Maxwell's lawyer saying she's, quote, prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump, something the president has not definitively ruled out and Epstein survivors passionately oppose.
Why would that even be entertained in any way?
Lawmakers in both parties have spoken out against clemency for Maxwell. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right here on Live Impact News, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus on this Tuesday morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Yesterday we showed this because it was live. It was several Charlotte and Mecklenburg leaders in Raleigh answering some tough questions. The person who was asked the most tough questions, though, was Sheriff Gary McFadden. The Oversight Committee did ask him a lot about ICE procedures, about, the detention center, about how he is working with his own people in the sheriff's office. So lots of hard questions. It got spicy yesterday. So this is worth a watch. If you do want to see this, I think it's great to watch our lawmakers and see how the sheriff responded to him. So let's take a listen in. This was the hearing, the Oversight Hearing Committee with Sheriff Gary McFadden.
You made reference earlier that you're a constitutional office. My colleague made reference that there are constitutional divisions amongst responsibilities between us and you. What branch of government do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County Sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck. Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
Okay. For the sake of debate, I will move on and say there are 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those 3, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one.
Would you say it to me?
Judicial.
Okay. You are incorrect, sir. You fall under the executive. And as a member of the executive, what do you believe your primary function is?
Care and custody of those in my custody at the Mecklenburg County Detention Center.
Okay. That is part of what your responsibilities as sheriff are, sure. But as a member of the executive, your primary function is to execute upon the law, to enforce the law. Okay? And again, I'm not trying to be rude, not trying to be combative, just walking you through the paces. I used to wear a badge as well. Okay? So, as the sheriff, do you take an oath of office?
I do.
And in that oath, I'm going to read it right off the screen, and I'm going to ask you if you agree with it. Okay? So there's a portion that says you will execute the office of the sheriff of the county of Mecklenburg for you, sir, to the best of your knowledge and ability, agreeable to law. Is that a fair representation of the oath you swore to?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. And the agreeable to law, what do you think that means?
Following the law.
Following the law.
Following the law.
Okay.
Not opinions. Following the law.
I would agree. Thank you. With that, do you think your personal opinions have any authority to override statute? Or
No.
Do you believe your office holds any authority to nullify law?
No.
Okay. So how do you reconcile that with the public statements that you've made about not enforcing the law?
I've never said I'm not enforcing the law.
With respect, I'm going to read a direct quote from you, sir. It says, quote, "We do not have a role in enforcement whatsoever. We do not have to follow the rules and the laws that are governed by our lawmakers in Raleigh," end quote.
We were talking about, again, you're taking the content of what I said when we are talking about immigration.
So you're talking about existing law and how you don't have to follow it. I'll allow you to expand on context if you like.
No, I don't need to expand. I'm saying that we follow the law. Again, you are taking something out of context to make a point.
Okay, so if the law says you must comply with detainers, and you're saying earlier in your testimony you said that in your opinion, because of who they are or aren't signed by, you view that as not binding. What ruling, because the law is very clear, so what court ruling are you hedging that belief on?
I don't think that a detainer is state law.
But it is.
Now,
The compliance of a ICE detainer is settled state law.
As of
what ruling are you hanging that on?
If you let me answer, now it is state law. House Bill 318 now is state law, and we are complying with that law.
Now. Previously, it was state law.
In House Bill 10, we were referring to North Carolina General Statute, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, we play with those every day here, sir.
Right. So we follow the law. We follow the law.
So how do you reconcile that with the statement that I just read that was a direct quote from you?
It was
that you don't have to follow the law. And you've already said that you don't believe that you have the authority of nullification.
Again, you're taking it out of a context of an immigration law.
I will allow you as much leeway as you need to explain the context.
That's all I'm going to explain. You're talking about immigration law. A detainer is not...
I am not. I think you were talking about immigration law when you made this statement. I am simply talking about broad spectrum application of the law and your job to enforce it, sir.
That is where you're taking it out of context.
I've offered you the opportunity to place it in context. I am not trying to lead you astray. I'm giving you the opportunity to make clear your statement, sir.
Thank you so much. Simply, we follow the law. When the law is produced, we follow the law.
One closing statement, Mr. Chair. You're recognized. Thank you. Again, I have no intentions as someone who wore the badge to disparage the badge or the man wearing it or the office of which you hold. I promise you that. As a military veteran, as a former law enforcement officer, as someone who's fallen under a chain of command and been a participant in a chain of command, I have serious concerns with your testimony you've provided today and the statements that I've seen you make in the past, where it seems like we often get to see real leaders step up and say, the buck stops here. I've never heard anyone with the rank that is on your shoulders, sir, say that nothing is their fault, that no blame belongs on them. I've heard you blame staff, I've heard you blame lobbyists, I've heard you blame the legislature. I have not heard you take responsibility for a single question that we have asked you today. And that, sir, is disheartening to me, and I don't think it is going to be conducive to us building a relationship where we can work together in the future. You have accused us of being combative. I have not tried to be combative with you today, and you are still refusing to answer questions, very simple, basic questions. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I yield my time.
May I comment, please?
Yes, sir.
I thank you, and I respect you wearing the badge, and I hope that you respect me wearing the badge, including the stars on my shoulders that I have rightfully earned for 44 years. I understand, no matter how we paint the picture here today, I clearly understand why I'm here. Being the only sheriff has ever been brought before a hearing such as this. Even leaving here today, I want to come to your office, your office, your office, your office, and anybody else's office. I would hope that we exchange phone numbers today so I won't have to go directly to anybody. I want a better relationship to work with this body. We need a better relationship working with this body. Simply making it seem like I am the fault and using what you've heard on the radio, not my fault. We all clearly know that comes from one radio station said it's not my fault. You have never heard me say it is not my fault. You say it's always not my fault. You make it characterized as it's never my fault. A mother who comes to me and said her child has died, she takes that fault and I take that fault from her. So let's make it clear. What we are saying here today, it is like an invite and welcome Sheriff McFadden to your chambers, to your offices. I will find out if that's true. I will find out if you're that welcoming and that open. I'm at 500 Fayetteville Street in Marriott every time I come to Raleigh. I'm sorry that the 42nd Street Oyster Bar, I think, is gone. I would invite you to dinner. And we can say that today to make it appear to be that way. But we can see what we want to attack Sheriff McFadden. But I'm not going to flinch. And I think that's the problem. You want me to flinch at this. You want me to worry at this. I've been doing this a long time. And if you think about who's in law enforcement, and I'm sure you know about Graham versus Connor, if you're in law enforcement, I'm sure that you do. Connor was my partner and was my partner in homicide, and we still know each other. So I'm hoping that we do respect my position here. And I know it's different. I'm different. I'm the first black sheriff, and why I say that? Because you can never understand what it is to be the first black sheriff of a county that's wanting to see that face. Yes, we were dubbed many names by this body, quote, the woke sheriffs, the supermajority sheriff, those few sheriffs, those minority sheriffs. If we went back to newspaper articles and all of that, did you sit in Lexington with members of this house in North Carolina at a barbecue that nobody in that meeting looked like me and nobody was of my party? That statement was says, we have to make those sheriffs do what we want them to do. If you need a copy of that article, we can have that. It should not be like this, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for answers. We're here to say what is right and what is wrong. And we came here because of Irina's law. And we said Irina. We dub her now as a refugee. We dare to put the word immigration on her. We dare to say that. But I have to say in closing, I want a relationship with each and every one of you all. But will you accept that relationship from me? Will you honor that relationship from me? Will you respect the 4 stars on my shoulders that I rightfully earned each and every time? No matter if you were the sheriff or you were the deputy or you say that you did it and the ranks of officers, you could never live in my shoes as the first African American. I say that why? Because this house said the words before I did. The woke sheriffs, the supermajority sheriff, the magnificent 8 sheriff. It's a cartoon, and I have it. But saying all of that, I'll pass it to you. I'll pass it to you. Saying all that, I welcome the friendship, working relationship. Because here's what I say. It can work if you want it to work. The next time I come here, you know what I want? I want it to be better than it has been today. We can all say it's not combative. We can all say, I'm not directing that to you. I'm not saying that to you. We know that it is because we made sure that I'm the one of the 99, but I am the one. I am the one. And I will always be the one. I'm a dream of my ancestors. Think about it. I'm a dream of my ancestors. I know some people are going to roll their eyes and sit back and don't think that is, but you can never understand what it is to be the first African-American sheriff or maybe possibly a state that are not accustomed to seeing it. And I know we're going on and on and here, but I must make sure that because I want the relationship, it is whether you want the relationship. It's whether you want to work together to make this state and this city better. And I will take my challenge with Sheriff Rowe. Outstanding man. And we will still be different. I'm progressive, direct. And sometimes that bothers people because it's oftentimes that is not the way we are. Submissive, get along, understand. But that's not what we tell our constituents, is it? We all working for the betterment of the great state of North Carolina. We hate the word, the great state of Mecklenburg County. Why? Because we are part of North Carolina. So don't single us out. Accept us for who we are. We are the largest agency. And we probably are the largest progressive agency. And we are. We just happen to be outspoken like you are, and I welcome that. And I welcome that more than you can ever imagine. But we will see, as they say, Sheriff, if you are welcome. We'll see is the open door is welcome. Because you think about it. We made it perfectly clear that you welcome him, but you didn't welcome me for an open door. We understand that. But that still does not deter me from being who I am and being a representative of my county. And whether you think that or not, I'm here to help you. Because missing a step caused House Bill 10. Missing a step caused House Bill 318. Missing funding causes my staff now to work and help with mental health. We can do this. We should never fight, no matter how you make it seem that we're not fighting. We should never have these kind of meetings and say, we're going to do this and you're on the hot seat. We're not on the hot seat. We should be standing on the same seat together. And that's what I want to understand. But we will see if you accept me when I knock on your door. Because I'm going to tell each and every one of you today, I invite you to my office. I invite each and every one of you to my office, 700 East 4th Street, Suite 100. Come, and I will show you what hospitality is. Come, and I will show you a progressive sheriff's office. Come, and I can guarantee you this. You will see a difference. And you can compare me to any other sheriff's office in North Carolina. No sheriff's office has my resume. I'm on both of the national sheriff boards in America. Name another sheriff of the 100. I sit on the board of both executive staffs. I am the chair of American Correctional Association for detention. So when you ask about detention and you want to stump the chump, as we call it, of asking me about some numbers, let's talk about that. I chair that.
Sheriff,
thank you.
We've got to move on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question for DA Merriweather and a series of questions for the sheriff. May I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. DA Merriweather, just a question of clarification. Thank you for your knowledgeable, thoughtful, and professional testimony. This is my very first term, and a lot has happened in almost 14 months, not to mention years past. I understand that Mecklenburg County has a backlog that you're diligently working through. Now, you said that in 2020, someone brought the criminal justice system to a halt, and that's the first time I've heard that mentioned. Just for clarity, who brought the criminal justice system to a halt?
The reason why I'm taking a minute to make sure I'm answering your question accurately is there are phases to that going back to 2020. Originally, with the onset of COVID-19, when no one knew anything about it at all, Chief Justice Beasley, I believe it was a March date, basically all court sessions were ceased for a week. That was then extended by another series of days, and then it was extended to then May. I believe it's my recollection that at that point there were various districts that asked for some level of permission to try to get up certain sessions. There were conversations among the principal court officials in my own county to determine, one, whether it was possible to gather the volume of people that it takes to have court in Mecklenburg County. I should, just to give you some context, Representative, that when we have a traffic court or admin court, we're talking about calling upwards of 900 people, which was not something that everybody wanted to do at the time of early in COVID. We were able to get our first jury trials off the ground, I believe, in November of 2020. And at that point, and I might get the name wrong, I think that was the Delta version of the COVID virus. And then it ceased again in my own county. Those were decisions that I believe were made locally. I was a part of that, to be frank. We made a decision, and I want to make sure I get this right, because there was one school of thought that maybe we should start with misdemeanor appeals, because if you mess one of those up, you can always kind of do it over again, whereas if you mess up a homicide, you might not get a second chance with those witnesses. And I believe we were able to get some serious felony crimes off the ground by the end of 2020. But then it ceased for much of 2021. And it wasn't until late 2021 that we were able to get back into something that looked like normal circulation. So to answer your question in sum, early on it was the Chief Justice. Subsequent to that, a lot of those were local decisions that were made by our court officials with keeping in mind just what it takes to get people, the number of people it takes to get a court session off the ground in Mecklenburg County. I hope that answers your question, sir.
It does. Thank you very much. That's the first time I'd heard it mentioned. Sheriff McFadden, I'm going to do my best not to ask you any questions that you can't answer. Okay, so with that being said, in February of 2024, you recruited Kevin Canty as your chief deputy, a 32-year law enforcement veteran who voted for you twice. And after 8 months, he resigned. And I understand you to be familiar with the content of his resignation letter. Mr. Canty, who is black, wrote, and I'm quoting, "The MCSO functions like a third world dictatorship. In my 33 years of law enforcement, I have never worked in such a toxic and abusive environment and never seen an agency head conduct himself in such classless and abusive manner." Sheriff, what did you do to a decorated law enforcement veteran of 33 years to make him describe working with you as the most toxic experience of his entire career?
I'm going to answer that in two phases. The first is, we well know that it is part of the petition that I cannot answer. That's part one. There is a study by Harvard University that talks about black leadership. When a black leader is leading, he is described differently than a white leader. 43% says that when a black leader is leading other blacks, it is a problem. That's a Harvard study. That's not my opinion. That's a Harvard study. But it also says in that study that 28 or 29% of their leadership who is directly under them will undermine them and find conflict in the way that they operate.
Thank you. So I have a question that's a little separate, but so are you saying it's because you're black that he describes this as a toxic time?
Okay, let me go back to make sure we get this clear, because there's
You're saying because he's black and you're black that he's described, that's the reason, or
I said this, that I cannot comment on that because it's part of the petition and the ongoing investigation.
We'll go to the next one.
So
I'm not pressing you. Because quite honestly, I don't want anything to happen to me in your county. But I do have one more question. You apologized for the racist language that you were recorded saying. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. So pertaining to the racist words that you said, I would like to know, what do they mean and how do they shape the culture of your agency?
So let me explain it to you in this way. We've all been upset.
I accept your apology. What I need to know is, what do those words mean and how do they shape the culture of your agency? I accept your apology. In North Carolina, I believe most of them accepted your apology. So the question is, what do they mean and how do they shape the culture of your agency?
We've all been upset. We've all been angry. Each and every person in here have said things during a time of being upset.
I accept that, Sheriff. I accept that. I accept your.
If you allow me to finish.
No. Thank you. I really just want the question, because I accept your apology. We've all been upset and said things that we wish we hadn't. What I'm asking you is what those words mean, and how do they shape the culture of your agency?
It means that I was upset. I was upset. I was disappointed. Those words does not shape.
Like I said, very heated exchange over there. That was yesterday when Gary McFadden, the sheriff, went in front of lawmakers. So we're going to take a 2-minute break, but keep it right here on Live Impact News. We have a person coming in to talk to us about romance scams coming up in just about 2 minutes. So keep it right here. Welcome back to WCNC Plus. You're watching Live Impact News. Listen, I feel like I've been bamboozled on these Hinge, Bumble. I mean, whatever. You say you're going to get one person and then it's not the person. But there are romance scams that take it a step further than that. Thankfully, I've never experienced that, but a lot of people have. So we're joined by Marnie Gibson right now. She's the president of North American Securities Administrators Association. That is a mouthful, Marnie. Thank you so much for being here with us. Now, there's been, in 2024, more than 65,000 reported romance scams, which equals $3 billion in reported losses. Who is being targeted here?
So, you were talking about just some of the apps. I heard you just mention a few of them there. So because of what you're talking about, let me just say, everybody can be a victim. So if you have an email address, if you have a phone, or you use any of the social media apps, you could become a victim. But I will add, seniors or older Americans tend to be more victimized, and that's because they have more money generally. So they might have a retirement account, they might have savings, equity in their houses. So something along those lines makes them to be a more sought after victim.
Marnie, what should people look out for in these romance scams? I'm sure they come on really hot and, have a lot of nice things to say, but what are some red flags?
So you've just started a brand new romance, and as you said, lots of words, lots of discussion, and so you're both really excited, but then that person doesn't want to meet you in person. So you don't know who's on the other side of that app, who's on the other side of that screen. And no matter how many times you try to get them to meet you in person, they always have an excuse. They live too far away, they don't have the money, and so they just don't want to meet. So that's a red flag, because you just don't know if what they're telling you is true. And then second, you're in this great new relationship, and all of a sudden, all they want to talk about is money, how much money they make, how much money they have, and they have a great or lucrative investment opportunity for you. And all of a sudden, it's, hey, invest in this. I care about you so much. I want you to be able to experience what I am experiencing.
What would you say the best way to go about starting a new romance is? Maybe asking to meet for coffee so you can see them in person, that sort of thing. When is it appropriate to ask to meet up, or maybe a FaceTime, right?
Honestly, if we live in a society now where we can do things like FaceTime, you can Zoom, you can see that that is a real person, because what you see on that screen could be someone all the way across the world. And AI makes that even worse, because they can create images of them with a fancy car or with a job or some other place that they're visiting. And so you don't know if any of those images that you see are real. So while dating apps certainly have their positives, and there are many people trying to connect across the country, being able to see them in person and be able to trust for your own eyes is a key factor.
And Marnie, if you do find yourself kind of in a romance scam, what are the best ways to maybe, get out of it? Or is there any way to try to get your money back at all?
So, that's hard. So the first thing you want to do is not be embarrassed. So if you feel that you have become a victim, you want to report it. So you can reach out to any of the state securities administrators. There's one in every single state, and we can help you at least get started. So we can help look into it. We can refer to another place. We can work with you. So key is don't be embarrassed, and then contact us. So for example, contact your regulator in North Carolina. So you can actually go to NASA's website and get that information. And I'd love to share that with you. So it's nasaa.org. Again, nasaa.org. Click on that link and click on North Carolina, and then you can reach out to your state securities regulator. And even if you just have questions, we would love to be able to give you knowledge and help before you become a victim, but don't be embarrassed after either.
All right, Marnie, thank you so much for being here on Live Impact News. We really appreciate it, and thank you for all that good advice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Valentine's Day right around the corner, so hopefully you guys have some good plans for yourself or your loved one. But we're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Thank you so much for being with us on this Tuesday morning. Going to be a beautiful day in the 70s. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus as we will continue to show you breaking news and news all around the country, the world, and right here in Charlotte. Right now, we're going to go to Washington, D.C., where the GOP is having their annual press conference. Annual, when I should say, is weekly press conference. So let's take a listen in.
Will actually deserve the truth. And I'll share with you, they're going to get it right now. I am beyond frustrated watching a media that is so obsessed with tearing down President Trump that they are willfully ignoring the millions of illegals, criminal illegals, that Joe Biden has allowed to cross our border. I'm furious with the Democrats that are so desperate to satisfy their activist base that they would rather shut down FEMA, TSA, and even the Coast Guard. They'd rather do that than to stand up and say one simple thing. Violent criminals who are here illegally should be deported. And yes, I am angry. Angry watching the protesters try to block legal, there's a key word, legal law enforcement operations that are targeting the worst of the worst predators. And these are predators that are walking around your communities. Democrats want to tell a different story. But let me tell everyone here the truth. The truth about what I am seeing at home in my state. In my state of Michigan, DHS has pulled an illegal alien out of Zeeland, Michigan, convicted of sexually exploiting a minor. This guy. This is who the protesters and the Democrats are defending. An illegal who is here, who has been convicted, I might say, of sexually exploiting a minor. I don't know why you all aren't angry about that. I'll share with you. It is unfathomable to me. In Grand Rapids, they got a guy convicted of larceny and sexual assault. In Ypsilanti, Jackson, in Detroit, in Holland, Pontiac, DHS found deported illegal aliens committed of homicide, murder. These folks are monsters. And you have Democrats that are advocating for them to get released back into your communities. Why aren't you reporting, and why aren't more people outraged? I don't get it. I gotta share with you, I don't get it. These folks are monsters. They're criminals. They murder. They sexually assault young women, minors. And you know what the Democrats want to do? Let's release them into your communities. And let's celebrate the criminals. Let's villainize the ICE agents and celebrate the people who are raping your children. That is crazy. And I'd love for the media, just find one parent for me, or any responsible citizen in this country that actually thinks that's okay. I mean, I would love to talk to that parent. I really would. They're criminals and they're killers. And Democrats are fighting right now to keep them here, to shut down ICE, to call off Border Patrol, and to let these folks stay in America, in American communities, in your communities. That is disgusting. What is wrong with these people? And the most cynical part is that they will stand in the streets next to the murderers and next to the rapists and next to the predators just to change the narrative, just to distract from the massive tax relief Republicans are delivering. See, they don't want you to talk about all the good things that are going on. And there's a lot of good things going on. So the second half of what I'm going to talk about is I'm not going to take the bait. We are going to talk about all the good things that are going on. And I'm going to keep the focus where it belongs, not on the noise, but on the real Americans whose lives are better because of policies Republicans passed and policies every single Democrat voted against. And I want to start with the words of a son talking about his mom. He wrote this. He said, "I just finished my mom's taxes. She's a widow up in Rhode Island working as a crossing guard for local school kids. She relies on Social Security and a tiny pension from his late father. The $6,000 senior deduction saved her $1,300 in federal taxes." Now, if you're from Michigan, you've seen this scenario before. It's cold, you get your winter coat out, you stick your hand in your pocket, and you find 20 bucks, and you're excited. You're like, okay, cool, this is gonna be a good day. Imagine finding an extra $1,300 in that coat pocket. That's what happened. And all across the country, seniors are seeing bigger refunds, workers are seeing bigger paychecks, and families are finally getting some breathing room. Why? Because Republicans ended the double taxation on Social Security. Because we made sure 88% of seniors will pay zero federal taxes on their benefits. That didn't happen by accident, and sadly, it didn't happen unanimously either. Every single Democrat voted against the $6,000 senior deduction. Shocker. The same Democrats that are for the violent rapists and murderers being released back onto your communities. Yeah, I'm not for giving the seniors $6,000, but I am for making sure that we make sure that those violent criminals get a fair shake, right? Let's release them back into your communities. Every single Democrat voted against giving grandma just a little relief after Bidenflation hit seniors harder than almost any other group. Every single Democrat voted no, not just against the greatest generation, but they voted no against the next generation too. They voted against expanding the child care tax credit. They voted against jump-starting the American dream with the Trump investment account. They voted against 15% tax cut for families and workers building this country every single day. That's what they're against. Ask yourself, what are they for? Kind of interesting, either, you know? I'm gonna share with you, they're for these people. They're not for the seniors. They're not for the law-abiding citizens. They're for these people. These are the people who they protest against. Isn't this great? That's who the Democrats are. I wonder what they have to say about that. Republicans, though, we chose a different path. We made a promise to deliver real economic relief, and we're doing it. And we're doing it this week, I want to highlight, for the seniors, and for every family, and for every worker at every stage of life. That's what governing looks like for legal American citizens. And that's what our leadership team is delivering. And with that, to talk more about it, because he has one of the highest population of seniors in his state, is a friend of mine, Mr. Herodopoulos.
Thank you, Lisa. It's Morning in America. I'm very excited to be a part of this team that delivers results and actually backs up campaign promises. This is the great American comeback, and it's no accident. It is a plan that we put together over a year ago to put money back in people's pockets. We secured the border, we reduced gas prices, interest rates are down, inflation is down under 3%. Economic growth is up, foreign investment up, retirement savings and 401ks are up. That's why it's Morning in America. And as Ronald Reagan, as I'm a former history teacher, used to talk about, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? It was the same challenge that he had with Jimmy Carter after a failed foreign policy and domestic policy. And he implemented a plan to make it Morning in America again. But we went beyond that. We said, let's actually reduce taxes on overtime, tips, and Social Security. And never forget, these are something that's earned. These aren't welfare programs. People work hard every day to earn overtime and tips, let alone a lifetime to earn Social Security. and they're finally get to keep more of the money they earn. That's what America is all about. And let's recall the Democrats had this opportunity just a few years ago. In 21 and 22, they had the opportunity to reduce taxes on overtime, tips, let alone, as Lisa said perfectly, Social Security, but they chose a different path. They said they're going to spend more money in Washington, D.C. And what did that give us? It gave us failure. Leader Emmer and I serve on the Financial Services Committee along with Lisa. We heard directly from the Fed chair, who's not exactly the biggest fan of the President of the United States. And I asked him a direct question. What caused that hyperinflation?
You are hearing from the GOP right now. This is their weekly meeting. We're going to take a quick break right here on Live Impact News, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We're going to go back to that GOP weekly meeting, so let's take a listen in.
Criminals, many of them imported into our country during the Biden administration, have no right to be here, nor do they have the right to wreak havoc on our communities, leech off our welfare programs, or vote in our elections. This is common sense. Common sense to everyone except our colleagues across the aisle. Instead of protecting the American people and restoring the integrity of our electoral system, Democrats have decided to put their stake in the ground for the exact opposite. Their current list of so-called demands for DHS funding are comparable to mass amnesty for criminal illegals. To put it plainly, Democrats want to stop immigration enforcement almost entirely. They're even willing to shut down vital government functions like TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA to do so. But Republicans will not waver in our support for our brave federal law enforcement officers, and we will not tie their hands as they enforce our nation's laws. Republicans also will not waver in our pursuit of restoring integrity to our elections. That's why we're voting this week on the Save America Act. Mandating photo ID and proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections isn't just common sense, it is widely popular. Yet Democrats are fighting tooth and nail to oppose it. Chuck Schumer even recklessly equated the bill to Jim Crow. No matter which way they spin it, the Democrats' opposition to this bill is suspect at best. Despite fervent Democrat opposition, House Republicans are going to restore integrity to American elections, and we're going to ensure the enforcement of our nation's immigration law. The future of this country depends on it. And with that, our leader.
Thank you, Whip. You've seen just this juxtaposition between what we as Republicans want to do to keep Americans safe in our homeland. The Department of Homeland Security bill, of course, funding expires if we don't take action. The House has passed a bill already that's over in the Senate to fully fund the department. And then you've got the Democrats on the other side who have made it crystal clear what their position is. Democrats want open borders. Democrats want mass amnesty, and they're willing to shut the government down and wreak havoc with the American people to do it. And let's just look at what would happen if the Democrats get their way. And you can see from their leaders, they are clamoring for another government shutdown. If the Democrats shut down the Department of Homeland Security, they're claiming it's about defunding ICE. But as they know, and as you know, in the Working Families Tax Cut, we funded ICE through the rest of President Trump's term. So ICE is funded. But what is not funded if the Democrats get their way? They will literally shut down funding for disaster relief in FEMA in the middle of a storm that in New York City alone, you want to see what socialism gets you, 18 people now have frozen to death under the leadership of the socialist Mandami. That's what Democrat leadership gets you. They want to shut down TSA. So just take Atlanta's airport, LaGuardia. Those two airports alone, having been shut down, if the Democrats get their way, will wreak havoc with tens of millions of Americans who just want to go see their family members, want to travel for a wedding, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're trying to start a small business and want to go to another city to try to create some jobs. They won't be able to do that because Democrats want to have a tantrum, not to defund ICE, because again, ICE is fully funded, but just because they want to cause chaos in America to get open borders. That's part of their wish list and their demand letter they sent to President Trump. And of course, the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard comes in and rescues people when disasters happen. They want to shut them down. They interdict boats that are bringing drugs into our country. That's who the Democrats want to shut down this week. Luckily, Republicans in the House have sent the bill over to the Senate to prevent this kind of chaos from happening. We'll see what happens in the Senate. The president's trying to negotiate with Democrats, but they've proven they really don't care about the American people. They did it before with the longest shutdown in American history, wreaking havoc to tens of millions of people, and they're willing to do it again. Now let's talk about some of the other things we're moving this week. We have a number of bills. We just moved a great housing package. Very big bipartisan vote last night. I'm sure you were all paying attention to it. Almost 400 votes to get a bill that French Hill and his committee delivered to help improve the housing situation so people can have access to buying a home again in America. Another big priority of President Trump's. We're moving more bills on critical minerals, something else we've been doing to reverse the damage that Joe Biden created. Joe Biden made us more dependent on countries like China. President Trump wants to open up our ability to develop the critical minerals of our nation. Here in America, we've passed a number of bills already through the House that are over in the Senate. We're going to move some more bills this week to open that up again. And then, of course, the Save America Act. And you can't have anything more basic than protecting the right to vote. Because as we all fight to ensure that every person, one person, one vote is the mantra, but if somebody is stealing your vote, then they're nullifying your vote. And two basic requirements are in this bill, the Save America Act. One is, to register to vote, you have to prove citizenship. Real common sense legislation. Everybody understands what that means. And they worked really hard to make sure that every state can still do the things that they do uniquely while allowing for that prevention of fraud measure. And then the other is, when you vote, you have to show a picture ID. As the whip said, you look at some of the Democrats feigning outrage. As Chuck Schumer calls it, Jim Crow. Where was Chuck Schumer when you tried to get into the Democrat National Convention in 2024? Guess what? Chuck Schumer made you show a picture ID to get into his own convention that he's calling Jim Crow. Is that what his new name is? Yet Senator Ossoff just this weekend had a town hall meeting. Guess what you had to do to get into Senator Ossoff's town hall meeting? You had to show picture ID. Americans get this. It's common sense that you have to show a picture ID to vote. Anybody that's against that is saying that they want rampant voter fraud. And so we're going to move that bill over to the Senate. I think you're going to see a bipartisan vote on that bill, despite some of the crazy things the Democrat leaders are saying. Over 75% of Americans, every spectrum, support this initiative. And you can see it on every demographic. It's supported widely. For whatever reason, Democrats in Congress are scared to death of ensuring the sanctity of the vote. But we're going to do it here in the House. So it's going to be another busy week. Some really important issues that we're bringing. We'll see where the Democrats are in these issues. Now I'll bring up our speaker, Mike Johnson.
Well, thanks. Good morning. I want to thank this leadership team for all their extraordinary work, and Congressman Herodopoulos for being here with us this morning. He's an effective spokesman, did some great work down in the legislature in Florida before he got here, so he's not new to this. I want to echo a couple things that were said this morning, and we'll take your questions. So on the economy first, then we would talk about the SAVE Act and how important it is. This is a really important thing. Gallup published findings from a new poll, all right? And here's what the headline says. Americans expect economic growth and stock market gains in 2026. The American people have good reason to feel this optimism. You heard the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, a few weeks back. He said 2025 was setting the table, and 2026 is going to be the feast and the banquet. We are already beginning to see that. Since Republicans reclaimed the House, we began last January to do the work we promised the American people we would do. We got it done. We secured key fiscal reforms in the debt ceiling agreement. We kept discretionary spending flat, saving hundreds of billions of dollars to date. We secured a $1.6 trillion cut to mandatory spending through the Working Families Tax Cuts and so much more. And that's just in the House. President Trump's been very busy as well. His trade policy and the tariffs as well. It brought in hundreds of billions in new revenue, more than 2024, and there's hundreds of billions more on the way. President Trump's policies have reoriented global trade, resulted in trillions in commitments for foreign direct investment here, a reduction in the trade deficit, and all-time highs for U.S. exports. And we're just getting started. We have all the necessary ingredients for economic flourishing. And the combination of the House Republicans' efforts to restore fiscal sanity, President Trump's trade agenda, and the pro-growth, pro-energy policies in the Working Families Tax Cuts have reignited a supply-side growth surge that nobody can deny. You're watching the economic growth numbers that are off the charts. It's going to be over 5%. I think 5.4% is the estimate for what Q4 would finally yield. And Q1 of this year is expected to continue that surge. And we think that's going to happen all the way through the year. And so do the voters, so do the American people, according to the polls. Under Republican leadership, the U.S. economy has consistently grown and far exceeded all the expectations that they told us that they would happen. The CBO and others were way off. And the tangible, immediate benefits of our policies are indisputable. Interest rates are down. Inflation is down. Gas prices are significantly decreased and have hit all-time lows in decades. Tax rebates are at an all-time high. You've got tens of millions of American families will be able to keep more of their money in their own pockets. And all of that was by design. We made promises. We're keeping our promises. By every conceivable metric, Americans are better off today under Republican governance than they were under the Democrats. And these trends are only going to continue. The Democrats keep talking about affordability. Republicans are delivering it. That's the theme. That's what happens here all the time. Democrats give you lots of talking points. And a lot of the outlets in the media amplify their messaging. But we are delivering actual results. We're not just talking about it, we're doing it. And that's what people see. Let me talk about the Save America Act, because you've heard a lot about it this morning. It is very important. Another thing that is very important to the American people, and another thing that the polls show that everybody's in favor of. Common sense legislation to just ensure that American citizens decide American elections. It really is that simple. Remember, House Republicans have already passed the SAVE Act here in the last Congress and in the current Congress. was one of the original champions. When we first had the press conference out on the House step to introduce the SAVE Act, Chip Roy and I and Mike Lee in the Senate and others were there to say that this is long overdue, because we know that non-citizens have been participating in elections, and it was a simple thing to say that we need to make sure you have to have proof of citizenship when you register to vote. Everybody should be in favor of that. I mean, it's what the law requires and anticipates, and we've got to make sure it happens. So now we have the Save America Act. It's identical legislation as the SAVE Act on the proof of citizenship, but as you heard, now voters would have to display a valid ID to participate in federal elections. Again, a no-brainer. So in other words, it simply requires you are who you say you are in order to vote. And if that sounds like a no-brainer, it's because it is. The question is often asked by pollsters, and the polling consistently shows 80 to 90% of Americans believe that proof of citizenship and proof of a valid ID should be required to vote. And there are few issues in American politics that have that level of bipartisan support. This is one of them. The issue has so much support because it's just common sense. Americans need an ID to drive, to open a bank account, to buy cold medicine, to file government assistance. As is noted by the leader, you even need an ID to attend events of most Democrat politicians and even the Democrat National Convention. So, why would voting be any different than that? They can't answer that question. And so they come up with all these crazy excuses why they can't support it. They've attempted so many arguments to oppose the passage of this simple legislation. First, they argued that we were too close to a federal election to make changes to voting procedures. That was last Congress, and of course that was nonsense. Then they argued that non-citizens and unregistered individuals don't actually vote. And then we proved that they did, and so then they changed their argument again. Then they argued that the SAVE Act disenfranchises married women who would have to change their last names. That was actually, you remember, that was a whole line of argument. And now, this is their current argument, now Democrats are saying breathlessly, the SAVE Act would result in voter suppression and voter disenfranchisement. It's nonsense. Do you know what actually disenfranchises voters? It's when non-citizens participate in our federal elections and counteract the votes of registered American voters. That's what we have to stop. Democrats have gone so far as to call this the return of Jim Crow laws. That's what you heard Chuck Schumer say, and he just has no shame. It's not the first time Schumer said this. Now, just think of the history of it. In 2021, when Georgia state legislators, and they did it in the state, they passed the election integrity legislation. Chuck Schumer came out, many national Democrats, they called it Jim Crow 2.0. I mean, he did that thing with his hands and pounded the podium. Okay, well, here's what really happened. Georgia experienced record turnout in the 2022 election after the reform, particularly among minority groups. And in fact, the poll commissioned by the University of Georgia after the election, they went to ask people how they felt about that election and how it was conducted. And they talked to black voters. And the respondents to the poll said, they said, did you have a poor experience in the election? And guess how many black voters in Georgia said after the reforms they had a poor experience? 0. Literally, no one said that. Not only were their arguments blatant fear-mongering, Chuck Schumer and everybody, they were dead wrong, too. And speaking of Georgia, Leader Scalise noted that Senator Ossoff had his big event there, and he said that the SAVE Act, quote, is bad faith bill cynically intended to disenfranchise millions of eligible voters, unquote. That's what Senator Ossoff said. But of course, at the event where he said that, he required photo ID to attend. Okay, so Democrats want to verify your identity to attend their campaign rallies, but not to participate in the elections they're running in. And despite the vehement and incoherent and frankly ridiculous opposition from Democrats, Republicans will continue to stand with the overwhelming majority of Americans who want secure elections. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the common sense thing, and we're going to pass this. And you'll see that reflected on Wednesday when we do that very thing. Save America Act is aptly named. It will do what we say, and that is the recurring theme around here as well. Take a few questions.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
There's reporting this morning that federal judges are increasingly frustrated with DHS for defying court orders in cases involving ICE detainees. Should the administration be able to miss deadlines or slow walk proceedings in cases it disagrees with? And should Congress act to shield the constitutional authority of the judiciary?
Look, I'm not going to comment on the report I haven't seen. I would doubt the veracity of that. It's first I've heard of it. If this was a big problem, you probably would have heard that a lot more. DHS is being asked to do a very difficult job. Remember, with the wide open border under the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years, by some estimates, 20 million illegal aliens came into the country. We have to remove, beginning with the dangerous criminal aliens. You saw photos and examples here just in our press conference this morning. They're in every state. And they have a very urgent and important job to remove the illegals from the country. And there are going to be hiccups in that system. But when there are modifications that need to be made, they are being made. I mean, I would give you example A in Minnesota. Tom Homan came in and took charge of that. They've made it more efficient and balanced and effective. They've calmed the situation using the president's own terms. And they're working well, much better now with local and state officials because Tom Homan went in and worked that out so that they would do it. The big problem we have right now is not with DHS. The problem we have is in the blue states and blue cities. There are 18 sanctuary cities in this country. You know what a sanctuary jurisdiction does? It prohibits the participation of local and state officials, law enforcement, with federal enforcement. That is going to create an inherently dangerous and crazy situation, and that's what it does. And so you see all the skirmishes and all the violence and all the things that are happening with violent protesters and assaults on ICE officers. Do you know that death threats for ICE officers have increased 8,000%? It's because they're putting fuel on a fire and they're making it worse. So the problem is not DHS. The problem is local and state officials who are not helping the situation. I give you as an example Minnesota. It is a calmer, more orderly situation there because finally it appears that the local and state officials are cooperating. We need cooperation among law enforcement. It is common sense, and it will solve so many of these problems. Yes, sir. Right here. Yes,
Speaker Johnson, curious about the rule today. There is a part of it that would block anti-tariff votes in the future. What's the reasoning behind that, and do you think that House Republicans will be behind that today?
I think it will. We talked about it, frankly, in our conference this morning, and the rationale for this, for just extending this for a little bit longer to July, is to allow the Supreme Court to rule on the pending case that everybody's watching and waiting for. That process has been playing out. I think it's logical to allow that to continue. The president's trade policies have been a great benefit to the country. It's undisputed what it's done. I went through some of the statistics and how that's helped the economy. And I think the sentiment is that we allow a little bit more runway for this to be worked out between the executive branch and the judicial branch. And we'll see. So I expect the rule will pass, and I think we can move forward.
Speaker, they're talking about a lot of different things, taking questions right now. So we're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Going to be absolutely gorgeous, 70 degrees today. So get out there and enjoy that weather today. There's something else you can enjoy today as well. Charlotte FC coming back, baby. Woo! Making a comeback. We love watching it. And here joining us now is Willie Pelagic with Charlotte FC. Willie P., thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, some exciting stuff, especially tonight, starting at 6 o'clock. You guys have an exciting event. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
So our fifth annual kit launch is happening tonight at the Fillmore. This is the biggest one we've ever done when it comes to this. We've had different concepts of this event that have developed over the course of the 5 years, and we're finally taking it and turning it into a concert tonight at the Fillmore in the Underground. It's going to be the doors open at 6, and it is an 8 o'clock concert with a Carolina country artist, and I'm here to reveal to you guys that it's Chris Lane who will be on the stage tonight at the Fillmore. It'll be an incredible event. We've got food trucks, we've got photo opportunities with the new kit, we've got also an opportunity for fans to purchase the kit for the first time. It's going to be a callback actually to our first ever jersey that we released back when the club started in 2022 with some different subtle touches in terms of trying to make sure that we honor our Crown legacy and obviously honoring our time here in MLS, which is, it seems it's so hard to believe it's only been 5 years that we've been in existence, but it seems like yesterday we were just starting.
It does seem like yesterday you were starting. I want to say that I've never missed a home opener.
There you go.
I'm proud of that.
We like that.
I know. It is such a vibe, really. Tell me a little bit about how important it is to reveal these kits and just getting the excitement going for Charlotte FC season.
Well, this is something that is a team effort, really, and undertaking with really the entire staff. You know, these things kind of get rolled out every year because of the way Adidas has the apparel deal. Each year, there'll be a different kit. So each kit actually lasts 2 years. So last year, we released our Fortress kit, which was the black kit. That is our alternate kit. We wear that basically mostly on the road, sometimes at home. But this is actually going to be really, really cool because this is the kit will be used for most of the next 2 seasons as our primary kit. So it's a much different kind of scenario. Our last primary kit was that very familiar Mountains to the Sea look, which was really, really cool. The Carolina Explorer kit, which was very, very popular. This one will be a little bit more of a, what I would call, cleaner kit. Again, more of a callback to that first Carolina kit, which was the blue with the white sleeves. And I think a lot of it, again, will be very much that clean look. I think a lot of people will think about this kit as being kind of almost a throwback kit in a way of sorts.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know you've seen the new kits. They're coming out at 11 o'clock today, a.m., I should say. Okay, what's your favorite kit?
Yeah.
Ooh, the favorite kit?
Yes.
Oh my, that's...
I know, I told you I was putting you on the spot.
I will say the first season when we had the alternate mint kit, the black kit with the mint lettering, I think that's one of my favorites. I still wear that one as kind of like a fashion piece, you know, kind of one of the OG, you know, if you know type things. I will say if I was going to put a second one, the Fortress again. There's something about black. I think, I don't know, it's very intimidating color. I think both those kits are good. I also really liked our alternate kit last year, the Carolina Lightning homage that paid homage to the 1981 Carolina Lightning kit. That third kit that we had last year that we wore for a couple of games, I thought that was a sneaky good kit, and that's also... That kit actually set records. That was the most bought kit, that third kit, of any of the third alternate kits that were released by the league. So Charlotte FC is actually one of the teams that, when it comes to apparel, one of the top teams in terms of sales, in terms of Fanatics and MLS, in terms of that. So something to be proud of in terms of where Charlotte FC has done from their kit designing, and obviously it's made resonation with folks who are buying it as well.
Yeah, and I really do think every time I see, any Charlotte FC gear, it really embodies, it really embodies Charlotte. I mean, the Queen City, it just really...
It's just cool.
It's so cool. It's so fun. And I think, they always do a wonderful job with it.
I'll say it's the best merch in the city.
I agree.
There you go.
I agree.
Well, I think the great thing is it's the synergy with, the Panthers, kind of the same color scheme. And I even like that the Charlotte Knights also kind of took up from that as well, and very much kind of kept with that city feel as well too. So I think it's one of those things where you see Charlotte FC gear at every sporting event in town. Like I see people I was at the Hornet game last night. us people with Hornets, with Charlotte FC gear on as well. And so, you
Yeah.
see it at Panthers games too. So it really has taken over the city in a profound way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, those games are just such a vibe. What is one thing that, we really could look forward to this season?
Well, it's going to be an intriguing season, definitely. After a fourth place finish last year, I think there's a lot of people who kind of wonder, is this the team that maybe can come out and make contention here? And there are a lot of teams in the league that, they make big signings, they spend a lot of money in the offseason, but I think one of the things that Charlotte FC wanted to do was really maintain their core from a team that had basically spent a lot of time in the opening season in first place and in the top four of the standings. So from that perspective, you're very much looking at a team that feels like they can even go above and beyond that, particularly with health. You have Pep Biel coming back off of a 24-goal contribution season. Wilfred Zaha, who had 10 goals and 10 assists in his own right, is definitely back here for his second season in MLS. And I think, too, having that core of defense with, Ashley Westwood, Tim Ream back there in the back line, making sure things go strong and stalwart. It's incredible to see what this team has done over the course of the 3 seasons Dean Smith's been in charge. They've improved every year, and I think it's one thing, too, when you look at the fact that there hasn't been a lot of turnover from the negative standpoint. I know that they lost Patrick Adjaman and Dilson Milando off of last year's squad, and replacing those guys has been very, very tough. Idan Tokomani's done a great job with the forward position, and in terms of the center back position, looking at potentially Andrew Privet to possibly step up as well, and Henry Kessler, who just got brought in from St. Louis. So there's definitely different pieces that are involved, but I think having that core built in and baked in, and also with the addition of Luca De La Torre to kind of bring some more progression in the midfield, should bring about a different type of spark for this squad, and hopefully they can stand up to what the MLS has to offer this season.
Very exciting. I'm excited for the season. I love, like I said, watching those games. They're so much fun. The audience, truly the best experience.
And we hope to see you at the home opener.
Oh, yeah,
March the
I know.
7th against Austin FC. Should be a lot of fun. Tickets on sale now, charlottefootballclub.com/tickets. We're on the road for the first 2 weeks. We're in St. Louis a week from Saturday, and then we're in LA Galaxy the week after that. But March the 7th, get your tickets now, charlottefootballclub.com/tickets.
Never miss a home opener, you guys. Never miss it.
And 5 straight home games, too. So not just with the game on the 7th, the next 4 weeks after that, including the Miami weekend, is right after that, too. So you got a lot of opportunities to see Charlotte FC coming up here in the month of March.
Awesome. And then tonight, of course, going to be so much fun. Chris Lane giving a concert there, and get your kids. All right. Willie P., thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break right here on Live Impact News, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It is around 10:45 right now, and you guys, you got to keep it right here on WCNC Plus because we continue to give you news, not just in Charlotte, around the country and around the world. We are going to head over back to Washington, D.C. This is where the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is live right now, and he is with families of alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. They are giving a little press conference right now, so let's listen in.
Thank you so much, Leader Schumer, for your amazing work on this issue, which is not new. You have championed these issues for many, many, many years in the House and in the Senate. But I want to also acknowledge the survivors. We've shed tears together because what happened was horrible. The cover-up and the abuse that continued by refusing to acknowledge the pain and the crimes and everything that happened was also an injustice. And that's what we are here to do today, to say that justice delayed is indeed justice denied. And one of the lines that the survivor shared with me early in the many meetings we've had, and it's a chilling warning that Jeffrey told them. He gave them this warning. He told the women and young girls, I have the government, I have the banks. In other words, you are powerless. Imagine hearing that from the man who abused you. Imagine being a young girl, a young woman already traumatized and being told that the system, the government, the institutions, the courts, the powerful are on his side. That he and those to whom you were trafficked are untouchable. That the world is made up of the powerful who are above the law, above reproach, and you are disposable as a mere object of sexual use and abuse. And for too long, those sexual predators have been protected by their wealth and power. And now, with the help of Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, the pedophiles and sexual predators are being protected by our government. But today, we're one step closer to proving Epstein wrong. But this bill is bigger than Epstein. It's bigger than the abuse that the victims endured. It takes years for victims of abuse to feel safe enough to come forward, and time should never be a weapon in the abuser's arsenal. Virginia's law eliminates the statute of limitations for key federal civil claims brought by survivors of trafficking and sexual exploitation. It includes a look-back window, so survivors who were previously barred, who were told, no, you do not have access to the courtroom, so they have time to now go back and seek justice. And it clarifies that traffickers cannot escape accountability by committing abuses in another jurisdiction. You don't get to escape prosecution by simply putting predators and victims on a plane to a private island, or a mansion in Florida, or a ranch in New Mexico. Because justice should not depend on a calendar. Justice should not depend on geography, and it should never depend on how powerful your abuser is. To Virginia Giuffre's family, thank you, thank you, thank you for letting us use her name in this law. It's her courage that we are honoring today with Virginia's law. Her courage unlocked the first set of gates that were protecting the rich and powerful. This bill will unlock the doors to the courthouse for the survivors. And to every Epstein co-conspirator and sexual predator, we're coming for you. And to Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, how dare you? How dare you use the Department of Justice, a government agency which by its name is intended to bring justice, to use it to prevent justice, to protect yourself, and that predatory circle of abusers. And so I join with the senator and with the leader, yes, let's pass this bill. Let's prove Epstein wrong. And now I want to recognize, as I was talking to Sky and Amanda Roberts, we talked about how they couldn't have imagined that this day would come. And we talked about how, yes, it's been a long journey. But before Virginia, there was one of those big arroyos or chasms that you see in New Mexico, right? There was no way to cross it. But what Virginia did was build a bridge. And now we are crossing that bridge because of the bravery and the words and the wisdom. And I'm sorry for the loss of Virginia. But she has left something so powerful for all victims. And so I'd now like to recognize Sky and Amanda Roberts.
That was a tearjerker. I am the crier in my family. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, all right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sky Roberts, and I am the brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. I am deeply honored to stand here today alongside some of the most extraordinary people you will ever meet, including World Without Exploitation, Congressman Chuck Schumer, Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, and the legendary Sigrid Macaulay. Known to many of us as Siggy. I want to begin with a single word. A word that meant everything to my sister. A word we will not stop fighting for until real justice is served. And that word is change. Virginia's dream was to inspire and empower survivors to come forward. In a world that too often turns away from abuse and pushes it into the shadows, she wanted to bring light. That light is change. Virginia's dream was to inspire and empower survivors to come forward. One of the main missions of her nonprofit SOAR was to eliminate the statute of limitations on adult sex trafficking. She talked about it all the time while elevating the voices of survivors, alongside her publicist and dear friend, Deanie Von Mufflin. Today, we give Virginia her voice back. We amplify the voices of survivors around the world. Today, we send a clear message to perpetrators everywhere by introducing Virginia's Law. We are introducing Virginia's Law because survivors deserve justice, not expiration dates. Change must mean justice. Not someday, not in speeches, not in private settlements, justice in law, justice in court, and justice in the form of consequence. Virginia's Law is more than legislation. It is a change in the truest form. It challenges how we see, how we confront, and how we respond to sexual abuse and sex trafficking, not just in theory, but in reality. We do not take this moment lightly. We are holding an overwhelming mix of grief, loss, and pride. And if our voices shake and our tears fall, it is only because of the depth of our love for our sister. Grief without action is another kind of silence. And Virginia did not survive what she survived just to be silenced again. And with that, I'd like to turn that over to my wife, Amanda.
Virginia was a passionate voice, a fierce warrior, and an unwavering advocate for survivors everywhere. She named what others were afraid to name. She stood up to wealth, status, and power And she proved that having money does not guarantee exoneration in the eyes of the poor. Virginia's purpose was always to create lasting change. Her truth and resilience helped spark a monumental shift in how survivors are seen and heard. But she also knew cultural change is not enough. She saw the legal gaps survivors fall through, and she was determined to close them at the legislative level. Her wish was clear: to reform the statute of limitations. When a child, teenager, or adult experiences sexual abuse, it is a profound violation of both the body, mind, and spirit. The mind often protects itself in the only ways it can, through denial, disassociation, and silence. It can take years, even decades, before the walls of trauma begin to crack, and a victim can truly understand what happened. It takes time to unlearn grooming. It takes time to release the shame that never belonged to them in the first place. Statistically, many survivors do not disclose until around the age of 40. Virginia understood this not as a theory, but as a lived experience. Virginia's law does more than honor her legacy. It protects the future of every survivor. It says legislatively and legally, we see you, we believe you, and what happened to you matters. It says you deserve the right to seek justice, no matter the status, wealth, or power of the person who harmed you, and no matter when the abuse occurred. To every member of Congress, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers, we ask you to stand with us, stand with survivors, and say no more. No more silence. No more systems that protect the powerful and deny justice to everyone else. No more laws that treat survivors as though time can erase harm. Pass Virginia's law. Let this be the moment this country chooses accountability over denial, courage over comfort, and justice over obstacles. Page 361, Nobody's Girl. We need to make it easier to punish those who victimize others. Siggy and I want to eliminate laws that limit the period in which survivors can seek justice for their abusers. Virginia put that into writing, and we're here to put that into law.
You're listening to a press conference with families of the alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. So we're going to take, about an hour break, but keep it right here because we're going to have the 11 o'clock news, and that will be anchored by Nick Sturdivant. So you don't want to miss that. That's going to be the latest headlines right here in Charlotte. So we'll be back here at 12:30. But like I said, keep right here on WCNC Plus so you can watch what's going around in your area.